Welcome back. Today we look at the main functions of the financial model. You'll experience that the model is a useful tool to analyze the project and how to use it to improve the project and the financing. In this video I'll talk you through the model, but after that you'll be invited to download a sample model and play with it yourselves. Then you can experience firsthand what possibilities it brings, and then we'll apply it in our case study. The primary purpose of the model, of course, is to confirm the financial viability of the project for the investors and the lenders. In week 1, we saw that the financial viability is driven by financial analysis of the expected project cash flows using the NPV, IRR and DSCR calculations. An additional purpose of the model is that it enables stakeholders to analyze the impact of changes that could happen in the project. And this is called sensitivity analysis. Such analysis is important to determine the feasibility of the project, as a tool in the process of risk assessment and risk allocation, and because it's a useful tool in contract negotiations. Thanks to this analysis, we can determine what aspects are most important for us to achieve in our commercial negotiations. Risks with the largest financial impact are the ones the most important to manage carefully. The model generates the data that we need for such assessment. That information helps us to focus the project management on the most critical issues. In order to do all this, the model needs to generate accurate outputs. These are cash flows, and the model analyzes these cash flows. It needs to calculate the expected NPV, IRR and DSCR to determine if these are good enough to draw in the funding that we need. The model needs to be given inputs that are required to calculate those cash flows, because inputs drive the outputs, and getting the inputs wrong will affect the financial analysis. It's therefore important that we log carefully the source of all the inputs that we use. In large projects, this is often done in an assumptions book. This is a book that records all assumptions and the sources they originated from. The model will be used and reviewed by many different people, often people with very different educational backgrounds. And that's why a good model needs to have a clear and understandable architecture. Important aspects of this architecture are that all input assumptions are recorded together and not scattered throughout the model. And the source of these inputs needs to be identified. Later, you can download a model and you can see what typical inputs there are. Then there is a cash flow section which calculates the expected project cash flows on an annual or a semi-annual basis. So cash flows must be generated correctly and posted in the period that they are expected to occur. There is usually a loans section that summarizes the development of the project loans, when they come in, how much interest accrues in a period, and when that interest is paid, and finally when the loan principal is repaid. The loans section is used to calculate the debt service cash flows. That's the interest and the loan repayments, and these can then be compared with the cash flows available for debt service, or the CADS, and the ratio between these two will generate the debt service cover ratio. A good model will have a dashboard which summarizes the most important inputs and shows at one glance the key outputs, particularly the NPV, IRR and DSCR. The dashboard is the key tool that is used for sensitivity analysis. We saw that the model calculates the NPV, IRR and DSCR, and the NPV and IRR can be complex calculations, but there are Excel macros that will help you, and you can find those macros in the case model that you can download. We need to remember that we are using cash flow forecasts to determine how much to fund today, But once we borrow, we'll have a very real debt service obligation. It will be extremely important to have a high degree of certainty that the net cash flows will indeed not be lower than our forecast. This comes down to analysing in detail the sensitivity to risks that could occur, to increase the cost or to reduce the income. The model enables stakeholders to analyse the impact of changes. The dashboard, as we saw, is a tool for that. It contains those inputs that we want to analyse. The dashboard enables changes for each input. For example, we can run a scenario that the construction costs increase by 10% or that the completion is delayed by 6 months due to unexpected events. We can either change the construction cost input or the completion date in the model. The model then recalculates the cash flows and shows the resulting changes to these cash flows. In that way, the model tells us exactly what the financial consequences of the change will be. This helps us to focus our attention on the key risk areas. It also gives comfort to the lending banks that we've done our homework. The model will tell us when a change is so critical that the NPV falls to 0 or that we threaten to fall below a minimum DSCR threshold. That would create problems with our banks. Then we need to manage these risks to avoid that they will ever happen. For example, by entering into turnkey contracts or offtake agreements. Lenders and investors will probably want to receive a copy of your project model very early on to decide if it's worth putting time into examining your project proposal. That model will tell them exactly how attractive the project is, and it will show what the biggest risk areas are. If we can show that we have ruled out risk situations occurring, for example, because we've entered into an offtake agreement that fixes our revenues, then we will be more likely that they will more likely lend into our projects. Usually, we see that the model also becomes part of the closing documentation. That way, all the project stakeholders have a universal tool. They can assess the ongoing financial status of the project through the model updates, and also the impact of any changes to those assumptions. There are no further videos this week. Let's get down to business. Let's analyze the case study using the case model. We'll take you through that case in a number of steps. They will give you insights that you need. Good luck. We expect you'll have a lot of fun on the way, and thanks for listening again.